Hi, everyone. Welcome to FinFactor. I'm your host, Blaine Bertsch, co-founder and CEO at Dry Run, where we can get you out of those highly complex cash flow forecasting spreadsheets you're using and into something that'll save you 90% of your time and give you something to present to management that they're going to love. And I'm really excited to have joining me today, Michael Haynes of Listen, Innovate, Grow. He's a business growth expert, but he really helps dial in those CPA firms and helps them gain traction and grow. And so I'm really excited to have you here today, Michael.
Fantastic to be here, Blaine. I'm really looking forward to our discussion.
So I know we talked, I was like a week ago or 2 weeks ago now, and I was really interested in how you've really started to focus in on helping those CPA firms grow, and that's close to our heart because we talk with a lot of CPA firms, a lot of fractional CFO firms, and some of them are really like it's interesting. We see some that they actually are like kind of overwhelmed with business, so they've got it kind of figured out, but a lot of them are struggling, even though they've got great capability, great services, great packages, but they struggle to grow. So I wanted to have you on the show so we could actually start to unpack some of those drivers that you see that would help some of these CPA firms get traction. Where should we start?
Where should we start? So, first of all, yes, I'm Michael Haynes. I'm a business growth and go-to-market specialist. And Blaine, as you said, I do a lot of work with accounting firms, your small and medium B2B accounting firms. So I work with, to use an example, one of my clients in Sydney. So they deal with building and construction firms, professional service firms, and real estate firms. So I work with those business-to-business accounting firms, not the ones that deal directly with your end high net worth clients, individuals. So I deal with B2B accounting firms specifically to help them build and grow their practices.
Yeah, and of course that's close to my heart because of course, our product is B2B, so we're always selling to businesses too, and we know it's a different strategy selling to businesses. And there's a good example that you just gave as one of your clients has specific verticals that they're really good at. They like to focus on those verticals, but then they got to figure out, I imagine, how do you unlock a growth engine for a vertical?
Yes. So the key to doing so, Blaine, is I work with the firms such as my accounting firm here in Sydney to develop a go-to-market strategy, that end-to-end roadmap of strategy and plan for client acquisition as well for retention and expansion. So we're looking at all the revenue streams, Blaine.
Okay.
And it's very important that you're looking at all of those revenue streams because it's not just about bringing in the client, but it's how you retain and grow them. And I think, Blaine, this leads into one of the trends that a lot of accounting firms are experiencing is that clients now are really expecting a lot more from their accountant. They're really looking to them as their trusted advisor. And as businesses, so with my clients, they're building and construction clients, professional service firms. As those firms are looking to grow, they're looking for more advisory services and support from their account. So it's really a lot about really understanding your client base, the industry verticals you're currently serving, those that you may seek to serve, and really understand what are the needs in those markets of those clients, and then how do you adapt your practice and your offerings, and how do you engage and support those clients accordingly.
So I'm guessing that when you start talking with your potential clients, or especially when you start your engagement, there's generally, if they're engaging you, they're probably seeing opportunity that they're not really tapping into, right? So there's likely some sort of issue that's holding them back. What do you see is it always a different one, or what do you see as like an overriding or more common issue that is kind of like, okay, here's a starting point. This is where we gotta dive in.
I believe it's a fantastic question. So there's a couple common themes that I see when I'm dealing with the accounting firms. So there could be one question such as, I want to go into new verticals, want to grow the business, and want to go into new verticals, but I'm not sure how. My current client here in Western Sydney, that's what brought them to engage me. Like, we're thinking of maybe, we want to grow, but we're not sure. Do we go building instruction? Do we go fintech? Do we go educate? We're not quite sure. So wanting to market expand, but not know where the right opportunities are can be one thing. Another reason, Blaine, often is that often the firms have tried some of the marketing tactics around client acquisition, often lead generation firms, which I'm not a fan of, advertising, social media. So they've done some of these things, not going to put a lot of money into them, but they're not getting the return of getting the kind of clients that they want, getting the clients to spend, the kind of level of spend that they're looking for. And that brings to a third area, Blaine, a common area of where the leaders of the firm will say, Michael, our average client spend is, let's say, $10,000. We want to expand it and make it 3 and 4 times. How can we gain more revenues around? So those are some
Mhm.
of the 3 common questions that I've been getting from a lot of the accounting firms and other professional service providers. Those are the 3 common ones that I've been getting with the accounting partners and firms that I've been engaging with.
It's interesting you brought up sort of these lead gen tactics. I don't even necessarily want to call them strategies for a lot of them there, but and they oftentimes don't work. Um, but boy, they sound appealing when you see them, right? So what is it that what are some of the earmarks that you think, like if there's like a partner in a firm right now is listening and saying, yeah, we're kind of considering this or we're looking at that. What are some of the earmarks on why some of these I don't know, I want to call them like canned or
Tactics.
approaches, tactics, whatever. What are some of the leading reasons that they don't generally work for these firms?
So, Blaine, the number one thing we must recognize for leaders of accounting firms is that the way in which our clients buy our services is fundamentally different than other types of B2B e-commerce products and services. Our clients are looking for expertise, depth of expertise. They're looking for that strategic advice. And they want that clarity and confidence that your firm is going to be able to deliver the kind of strategy, advice for to achieve their objective. And how they buy is very different to other kind of products and services, which are, smaller spend. So they do a lot of self-education and research. So the way in which they buy is fundamentally different. The likes of advertising is great for awareness, but it is not going to instill that confidence and demonstration of expertise that our clients are looking for. So it's about understanding how our buyers buy, the way in which they do that self-research and education, and building your go-to-market strategy and the marketing component of your go-to-market around the way in which they buy. And that is where there's a complete often disconnect.
So you're talking, that's really, really interesting because so you have a market there that likes to do their research. They're gonna do their research, right? What are some of the things that they're first of all, how are they doing their research and what are they kind of looking for? And I know it'll be different a little bit from place to place, but sort of a bigger picture. What are they kind of looking for? What makes them confident in a firm?
So what they're looking for is that depth of expertise. They want the demonstration that the accounting firm is going to help them, let's say, with some of their growth objectives to expand and grow the business. So they want to be seeing evidence of that expertise, Blaine. And how they do so, they will do that through self-education. So they will go online. They will go to peer groups. So your, CEO peer groups, your mastermind groups, your online communities, your industry associations. They'll also be talking a lot to their peers as well. They're trusted people within their networks, the trusted people in those CEO peer groups, masterminds, and communities. And so they're wanting that, they want that confidence that they're getting the right kinds of advice, which will help them and get that certainty that company X, firm X is going to help them achieve where they want to go.
You.
So in order to demonstrate that, what firms need to be doing is what I call delivering air, advice, insights, and recommendations to those places and with those people where your clients and prospects are going for that advice and insights to get that clarity and confidence. That is what is fundamentally quite critical as to what firms need to do.
So very different than what I think they're probably trying now is, well, let's put some social media ads up. And what you're saying is you have to get to this group and offer them insights, offer them something, offer them and sort of get on their radar. So how do you do that? How do you if you've got a group in town, you're gonna like, I think maybe that's here's the construction association. probably talking with each other.
Yeah. So let me leverage a client that my accounting client that I'm working with right now here in Sydney. So we've identified that the likes of, building construction, professional services are two of their key target verticals. And so in terms of how they're going to be demonstrating and delivering that advice, insights, and recommendation, they are doing a number of things. So one, they're creating content, such as, they're putting out, articles, we're starting to put videos, newsletters, around some of the key topics, around things such as business planning, business growth, some of the strategies and approaches around that forecasting. Those are some of the key topic areas. So they're creating that content. And then not only are they creating that content, they're going to be distributing that through their internal channels, such as their newsletters, on their website. They're going to be also going to where else externally that clients go. So they're going to be looking at some of the industry and professional associations here in Sydney. There's a couple business groups. We have the CEO Institute, which is sort of like the institutes that you have in the US. So these are some of the channels. The industry professional associations, CEO groups are some of the places in which they're going to be distributing that content. So they can be getting it in front of where buyers are going to be looking for information. So that's one element. So content creation and distribution are the two key elements in the appropriate channels.
So how do they get, like, what's their best, some tactics or tips for actually getting like a group like that? Like, how should you approach them? How should you talk with them so that they go, yeah, we're going to share this. Like, this is great. This is really useful.
So, Blaine, the starting point in terms of really knowing how to really put together your whole go-to-market strategy is you need to be what I call listening, gaining that in-depth understanding on two levels. You need to be listening to the market. So you need to have an in-depth understanding of those industry verticals and those geographic markets that you both currently serve and seek to serve. So your industry and professional association are often a great repository where you can get white papers, reports, and recordings of webinars to understand the trends and what's going on within those industry verticals. Secondly, you need to be talking with your clients. So having meaningful structured discussions with your clients, with the decision makers, to understand their key challenges, their key priorities, their goals, what are they looking to do? And it's by having that understanding both at the industry level as well as at that decision maker client level, bringing those two together, that will give you the clarity of focus to say, what are the kinds of, topics that you should be focusing on to be developing content? And then you can then look forward to distributing them to those appropriate channels, such as your industry associations, your publications, your peer advisory groups, online communities, as just some example of places where you can be distributing that value-added content, because it's relevant and aligned to the priorities of the industries and the clients and prospects that you're seeking. And that gets you on the radar with both the clients and prospects, as well as those watering holes, those places where they're going for information and insights.
So I want to actually circle back a little bit here, because what you're talking about, and of course it makes absolutely perfect sense, is that this works well when you can identify and you're going after a vertical. How many places do you talk with and that they're kind of all over the place? Like, they haven't identified a vertical, and how big of an issue is that if they're just kind of, hunting around and anyone that walks in the door kind of thing?
So Blaine, that often is an issue where clients will often, they serve a number of different in a class of different industries and verticals. So one of the starting points in terms of trying to pull together that holistic end-to-end go-to-market strategy is doing an internal analysis to understand, okay, let's look at your current client book of business, and we run the numbers, we run the reports to say, and look to see where are you getting those wins in terms of revenues, referrals, you're getting the client endorsements, and let's see, are there some trends and patterns in terms of the types of clients, by industry, by size, by the types of nature of services you're providing. And when you do that analysis, you will come up with some patterns as to where you're having the wins from a revenue perspective, renewals, referrals, amount of client spend. There are some key indicators. There'll be some key signals of, oh, we're actually having wins here. And that's exactly what I did with my client in Western Sydney, where it was through that analysis that we came up with those top three verticals of building, construction, real estate, and professional services.
So there's, a lot of this sounds like there's no like ultra quick wins. To do this right, there has to be a lot of analysis, a lot of careful um, thinking and planning and strategy and everything. That's what's going to make this effective. Is it's not just write a blog post. It's like let's go right down to the foundation here,
Yes.
and that goes down to the foundation of the business, right? And that's how you identify where to go.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You have to be doing that analysis, doing that what I call listening. So there's the internal listening to understand what are your key strengths, capabilities, where you're having wins, certain kinds of clients. So having that internal client analysis, and then also having your understanding at that industry market level, doing that listening to the market, I call it, as well as listening to and interviewing and having some discussion with some of your current clients and potentially some of your prospects to really understand where are the opportunities, where you need to focus. It will give you that understanding where to focus and to whom to focus on, and what are going to be the areas that you need to be focusing on to be creating content, and where do you start to distribute and be making yourself visible to those clients that you're currently seeking and those that you're hoping to seek to serve.
Yeah. Now, I'm guessing like there's a lot of these, mid-sized sort of businesses. They've been doing B2B for 20 years, 30 years, whatever. The world has changed a lot. And you talked a lot about that businesses really expect their accountant to be their trusted advisor, more so than sort of ever before. So how much of this, I guess, this new service offering is like, do you find that there's also training needs, or are they comfortable with that if they've been around a long time versus like maybe like a newer firm? What sort of challenges might you have as an older firm that's been around a long time versus maybe the challenges you have as a newer firm that's got more tech chops, but maybe haven't been around as long, right?
So I would say from my experience, and I tend to, a lot of the clients I tend to deal with, the founders, or tend to be your younger, growth oriented accounting firm leader. Okay, if I think of my own accountant who was older and is at the kind of the tail end, who's not really that growth oriented, I tend not to deal with them. I'm dealing with the ones that are very growth oriented. They're often very good at working in the business, and so they have the great expertise around what they're doing. But in order to be delivering more value to what your clients are expecting, because as they're looking to grow, they want more, they want some of these strategic services. So it's involving different behaviors now, because part of what they're looking for is they want to be connected to other industry specialists. So you as the accountant provider, as the accountant, can you introduce me and connect me with some of my peer industry leaders in strategy, marketing, technology, who can help me give me insight on other areas of business building. So that lends itself. So content is just one part of one of the ways in which you can build and grow your business. Now you need to be looking at other things, such as, hosting likes of roundtables and panels, executive breakfast briefing, where you're bringing your clients and some of your network together so that your clients and prospects can meet some of the industry experts and get more insights and advice and be able to ask questions. So it's the big thing is about that shift in behavior and starting to do things that you may not be used to be doing, because it's not all just around running the numbers, spreadsheets, and reports. It is about facilitating dialogue and discussion, being a connector for your clients, with people in your network, with others in the industry. And so these are some of the other things that you need to be starting to do to be able to deliver value and to maintain the relevancy with your clients as they're on their growth trajectory and they have more requirements around different skills and different knowledge that they need.
It sounds to me a little bit like everything that's old is new again. And what I'm saying is, no matter how sort of digital we get, it still comes down to relationships. And like you've said a few times, it's your network. You want to be able to refer people to other experts that you trust, that'll will serve them well. And so I guess there's also this other side where it's there's this people, person to person sort of networking, relationship building, um, has a big, it's a really big component in not only like the generating leads, but also in offering those advisory services that have expanded beyond tax compliance, right?
Yes. So when your accounting firm's holistic go-to-market strategy, I have three core pillars: content, micro events, strategic collaboration. Strategic collaborations are essential to growing your firm because the way in which our buyers buy, our buyers of advisor services buy, it is very much around the whom now. They very much want to be tapping into, it's not just about seeing your content. They want to be able to tap into other people within their industry, within their ecosystem. They want to be engaging with experts and other trust and be able to interact and meet other trusted providers. So your part of your go-to-market has to be around establishing relationships with those relevant people within your ecosystem. And so for accountants, it's about knowing other management consultants, knowing people who are technology specialists, knowing people in the industry professional association, knowing the likes of folks in branding, leadership, of these other elements that your clients are going to be wanting to tap into as they build and grow their business. So part of your go-to-market is about having those strategic collaborations so that you can leverage and tap into them to connect your clients and prospects to them, to host the likes of roundtables, breakfast briefing, to exchange and share content, to promote your events. These are all things that people component, that engagement component is critical for the retention and expansion piece. If you don't have that, then that is how you'll lose relevance as your firm, as your clients are beginning to grow. They might think, that firm, they were good for us up to this point, but now we're scaling or going into new markets. I don't really think they can really help us take things to the next level. So you have to, having those strategic collaborations are really necessary. And there's great value in being able to be the connector for your clients and prospects.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's this, it's interesting because it's like, man, you got to be in front of these industry organizations in the verticals that you're targeting. You also have to be part of these other industry groups, sort of support groups, so that you actually can connect them. So a big part of I guess the modern CPA founder, or any founder that wants to grow their business, is again, it's a lot of networking, a lot of conversations, a lot of relationship building, but it's got to be pretty strategic, because what you don't want to do, I imagine, is, well, let's go to the CPA conference and talk with a bunch of other CPAs, because that's the first, that's the first thing you do on almost any industry. Is like, I was in I had a creative agency for over a decade. I went to a lot of creative agency events and conferences and things, and you just talk with other people that basically do the same thing you do. But that was never where we got our customers. We got our customers from all of our networking and all of these other places. And that's also where we got to meet other experts that we could draw in, and contractors and that we could rely on. It sounds like that's exactly the same thing, as be strategic in your networking, right?
You're absolutely right. So the networking, building those collaborations is part of your go-to-market, but it is about being strategic. That upfront analysis, that upfront listening to understand, okay, what are the industries verticals that we are going to be targeting? Who is our target decision makers? And now, okay, now that we recognize that we're going after building and construction and real estate, okay, with whom do we want to be building strategic collaborations within those ecosystems? Who do we need to connect with? So who will make sense of the kinds of service providers that may be before or after us? And start thinking about industry and professional associations, what are relevant associations, advisory. But you can be quite targeted and quite zoned in and specific by virtue of knowing how your buyers buy and where they are going. That will be your starting point to say which industry association, which advisory group you may, what event, so that you can really zero in, because we don't have time to be going to every event and going to everything. But when we're very targeted and we know the industries we're focusing on, we know who our decision makers are and where and with whom they are liaising with for advice, insights, and recommendations, then we can get really focused and prioritize and say, this association, this community group, this event, and this is the event we're going to try and get. And you can be really dialed in with your business development activities, which are a key component of your go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, what springs to mind here is when you look at a lot of the like those lead generation systems and stuff like that, they all sort of promise quick wins and they generally don't give any wins. This to me sounds like do it right, not fast.
You have to do it right. And when you have the understanding of who your buyers are, what are their priorities, Blaine, and how do they buy, it will give you very good clarity in terms of what is the kind of content we need to create on what topics, where we need to distribute and make it and be visible. Where do we want to be, hosting event and be participating and with whom. You can get really dialed in, really targeted. And so once you've done that upfront homework, the momentum that you can have will be quite effective and can be quite quick because it's very much dialed in. Again, Blaine, the problem with the likes of advertising is great for awareness, but it's not how our buyers buy. Advertising will let people know firm XYZ is in existence, but it will not give them the clarity and confidence to say, does firm XYZ, can they help me as I'm looking to, buy two companies and enter the US market? It is not going to give them that clarity and confidence. So this is why you have to have a go-to-market strategy, which is reflecting around how our decision makers buy, looking at content, with whom they're liaising with what associations, with what people, and we build our strategy around that. That is how you get that maximum, you get that impact, which is really going to take your growth and make it exponential. It'll set you up for retention and renewal as well, and expansion. That's how the magic happens.
So something that sort of dawns on me here too is that for this process to really work, it's still going to come down to some skills for the founders or the owners. Like, how do they become better networkers? Like, because when it really comes down to it, it's like you go to an event, but if you don't meet anyone there, is like the strategy doesn't work. Like, there's also has to be that tactical, like that execution side. Is there a way to actually improve some of those soft skills and say like, okay, if you don't work a room when you come in, can you get better at working a room?
So it's strategic networking, and it's strategic networking. And strategic networking is not necessarily about going to networking events. Again, this stems back to understanding your decision makers, and who you're going after, what are their priorities, and how do they buy? And as part of having the buy, where are they going? So you need to understand, maybe in some cases, it's about joining certain industry associations, certain roundtables, certain mastermind groups. But that is where your prospects, where some of your peer group are going. And then you look to be then starting to know who to connect with and start building those relations and having those discussions. So it all comes back to really doing your homework around understanding your clients and your prospects and understanding those decision makers. What are they looking to do? Their priorities, and then having to think about, well, where are they congregating and hanging out? And then also identifying who will they be dealing with before, during, and after engaging with your firm, because that will define the kinds of people that you need and want to meet.
Yeah.
So again, it's about strategic. It's about doing that upfront planning, understanding that, listening to map out, where and with whom you need to be doing your networking, and how to get with people as well.
Yeah. So once they've kind of got this strategy in place, they kind of know what they need to do. How do they execute and keep track of everything?
So execution. So your go-to-market framework will have with the strategy. There's 3 core pillars to your go-to-market strategy around content. Do your micro events, so strategic collaboration. And so you will set the strategies. You will then set up, what are your action plans and your initiatives. And then we can set up measurement and reporting around each of those kind of three key pillar areas. But it's really around setting the foundation around building that understanding, which needs to be documented of having an understanding, listening to the market, doing that listening, and then setting your strategies and your initiatives, and then you can set up your reporting and metrics around that. But it's making sure you're really executing and working all of those elements of your go-to-market framework.
Mm-hmm. The one thing we didn't really talk about that much is the micro events, the middle pillar. I really like that, because if you're hosting the event, you get an opportunity to sort of invite the people you want to invite, and be able to have an introduction almost baked in and everything. How do you just what are some of the things you're seeing that are working for micro events?
Okay, so first of all, by micro events, I define micro events as part of the framework that I'm working with my clients. These are your smaller events. I say 2 hours or less. The people that accounting firms are targeting are often your very C-level, very senior people. These folks are very busy, but at the same time, as part of getting those advice, insights, and recommendations that they're seeking, they're not just looking at content. They want to have the opportunities to interact with peers, as well as interacting with potential experts, others within the network whom they trust. So these events are the likes of, it could be doing things like masterminds, it could be doing roundtables, having panels, it could be doing Q&A sessions. So these are fairly short value add, where it's an opportunity for your clients and prospects to gain insight, as well as to be able to ask questions, exchange perspectives. Doing them virtually online can be extremely effective. My clients are getting a lot of traction that way, because it's much easier for a busy business owner, C-level person to be able to dial into the 1 hour roundtable session as they're, taking their kids to school or dropping her on the subway, going into work, as opposed to I've got to go into the city to the Chamber of Commerce. So it makes it a lot more easy for folks to be able to dial in and participate. It also can allow to broaden the reach, and you can be making it cross-regional, international. And again, a lot of senior leaders get a lot of value of being able to get different perspectives of people from different markets, different industries. There's lots of value to be able to ask questions and hear perspectives and experiences. So doing the events virtually has massive value in terms of ease of scheduling, and also, able to open up a broader audience and giving that broader perspective and insight for your attendees.
Yeah. It's just not it's especially early on. It's with the kind of the people you're I don't want to say targeting, but really the people you're targeting, it's a lighter ask than getting your car drive around across town, and time wise, everything is just a lighter ask. And I can see it being kind of a nice way to introduce people and start building some relationships, even though it's not in person yet. Likely eventually, hopefully it'll move there, right?
And often, it's a great way to provide value for them to gain insights. And often some of these events can become a recurring regular. You can do, the monthly meetups, have the monthly roundtables. And again, senior leaders will get lots of value when you can provide that recurring value. Recurring value is what leads to recurring revenue renewal. It will help facilitate the growth in terms of cross-sells, upsells, retention, these clients becoming advocates for you, because these are things you can do on a regular basis. Because these are the kinds of things that senior level decision makers are seeking as part of the value add as they're on their growth trajectories, both professionally and for the firm personally. These kinds of things, so being able to do it on an ongoing basis is a massive value add for your firm as well as for your clients and prospects.
Yeah. This has been really fascinating, Michael. You have covered an awful lot in 35 minutes here. I think we're getting close to the end of our time here. What I found really pretty interesting is we talked really, briefly a week or two ago, but you basically came in and when, we're looking at talking about lead gen, and my mind eventually went first to the things that basically don't work. Like you were talking about, these don't work. I was just like, oh, lead gen is kind of this. And you basically flipped that on its head and said, no, It's about a strategy. It's about being, understanding the first step, understanding your business, understanding your clients. It's about building a strategy that works. It's about developing relationships, not only with the verticals you're targeting, but with the other people that you can work with in almost like partnerships or affiliates, and how you can like run these micro events, and how like this is it's a complete framework that I think is sounds to me, like I said, it's like it's not fast, but it'll be effective. It'll be like it's a business wide philosophy change that can be highly effective in growing the business.
And Blaine, you're exactly right. It is effective. It does take work, and it is a framework. It's strategic, and why it does work. And I'm working with accounting firms right now, technology firms. We're having great success in a reasonable amount of time. This is not going to take years. We're talking,
Yeah.
uh, you know, you know. One of my tech clients within 60 days, we got into good traction, and I saw some key strategic related. But it's aligned to how our clients buy, and that is
Yeah.
the key. Is it often aligns how they buy, and advertising and lead gen does not align with how they buy, with that self research, that education, that air that they're ultimately seeking. We have to create our strategy for acquisition as well as retention and renewal and expansion. It has to be around how our buyers buy, which is again quite different to some other types of B2B products and services out there.
Yeah. And it's so many of these can sort of lead gen. It's almost it's like they think you can take a B2C like a consumer way and map it onto an enterprise sale. Like they don't jive. And um, what you've sort of identified is you do your homework and you lay the foundation out, and you'll have a solution that'll be really effective. So how can someone reach out to you and get in touch with you, Michael?
So in two ways. One, they can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always active on LinkedIn. I conduct monthly Ask Michael Anything Q&A sessions, as well as some live streams. And then they can also go to my website, listeninnovategrow.com/SME-playbook, where they can also download and get their free playbook, which outlines the go-to-market framework around those key pillars and what they need to do. So listeninnovategrow.com/SME-playbook and or connect with me on LinkedIn.
That's terrific. And thank you so much, Michael. This was really interesting, really fascinating. Like I said, you covered an amazing amount of information that I found fascinating in the last 40 minutes here. And I want to thank everyone else for watching. If you are looking for a way to get out of those cash flow spreadsheets, especially if they're really complex, really complicated, they're taking you a lot of time, taking your team a lot of time, come and talk with us at dryrun.com and we'll help you out. Thanks again, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you.